Welcome, everybody, to a very special video here on Lissa's Raw Food Romance. We have Mike Young, who is the founder of a plant-based diet.org. It's a non-profit organization, and we're going to learn a little bit more about what he does, what he shares, what he's all about, and also the cruise that's happening in January that Nate and I are going to be part of. We're going to be speakers there. And yeah, we've got some really cool stuff to talk about today. So I'm really excited. Thank you, Mike, for joining for today's chat.
Of course, I'm excited to talk. I mean, we have so many amazing things going on, and the fact that you're going to be on the cruise with us, we're thrilled.
Oh yes, I know. When we were asked, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is going to be so amazing." I have never been on a cruise before in my life. So the
Okay.
fact that we're going on a vegan cruise and that
Yeah,
there's going to be raw food at that, but we'll talk about that in a second. I'm like so
yeah.
seriously excited. Um, but let's dive into what is a plant-based diet.org. Talk a little bit about what it is, what your mission is, and why you created it.
Sure. Well, the short version is that I went fully plant-based about 12 years ago, 2014. I didn't know anybody in my family, didn't have any friends that were doing that. And I figured, well, this has got to be, I think, an education for everybody, because it was an education for me just to get to that point. And I know 12 years ago, I didn't know anywhere near what I know now. I'm always learning. Every day, learn something new. So we just started out the nonprofit. And in the beginning, the goal was just to kind of get the word out, because I'd say back in 2014, it was like the dark ages of veganism. I feel like, it was really hard to find anything. But even since that time, 12 years, you've gone from that kind of a dynamic to being in a place now where every grocery store is full of plant-based and vegan options, right? I mean, they're not necessarily the best for you because the produce section has not expanded, but you've got, plant-based meats, vegan cheeses, vegan ice creams, you can go on and on, the milks, right? It's in every single grocery store. So when we started out, it was like baseline education. So we did festivals, you're probably familiar with the Veg Fests and things like that. We did those all the way up until about April of 2023, which is almost 3 years ago now. And that was the last time we did a festival. And it took us a little bit of time to get to that point. But what we realized was we really got into this I'd say for health. I mean, we are a vegan organization, 100% vegan organization. Don't get me wrong. We just don't want anybody to harm themselves in the process intentionally. All right. So that's the education part. So what we realized was going on with the festivals was we developed our own nutrition standard because we wanted to be very specific about what we do. And we incentivized all the food vendors, because there's always lots of food vendors at the Veg Fests. And the problem was almost nobody took us up on the offer. It became kind of like a niche thing in the early days to kind of like an industry by 2023. And everybody just wanted to, be like any other industry and make the money. So we realized we had to pivot out of there, because it got to the point where I got into this to help people, not to harm them. And, I realized that even at my own events, I was getting sick. And we could talk more about me and why I would notice that. But you go back to your question. You said, what are you trying to do in the nonprofit? Well, our goal is to eradicate non-communicable disease in humans. It's a very specific goal. And if you look at all the stats out there, the reality is that almost everybody's chronically ill these days, especially if you're over 50. I'm 56. So based on the statistics that we've seen, the evidence and research, you've got a 97% chance of having at least one non-communicable disease if you're over 50 years of age. And it is a lot. It's lower at younger ages, but not as low as you'd think, because people who are younger are getting sicker than ever. faster than ever. And it's all because mostly of the food. So that's why we pivoted out. So now, since April of 2023, we only do health optimization events. We're still kind of like we're an event producer, live events. And so we have our health optimization crews. We have other health optimization clubs and other meals with people that we work with in the areas that we serve locally. But the cruise is like our worldwide, we had somebody from Australia show up last year,
Wow.
worldwide experience.
That is seriously amazing. I have been vegan the same amount of time as you as well. I went vegan in
Wow.
2014. Yeah, 2014 was a good year.
Yes.
Yes.
And I don't know about you, but it was a journey leading up
Oh,
to
yeah.
that. I didn't ever know I would suddenly become vegan, but I was vegetarian before that. I was a real specific eater before that. Or some people just call me a health nut, and so on. It was just a journey leading up to that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me as well. I discovered like raw food back in 2004. And, for the next 10 years, I would try it. I did lots of different diets. I would be considered a health nut as well. I worked in the natural health industry. So, we were exposed to a lot of stuff. And then in 2014, that's when I was like really unhealthy, and I was just eating everything and anything. And I one day just woke up and I was like, I need to change. And I would always default to raw because it just made so much
Right.
sense to me. So at
Yes.
that day, I watched Cowspiracy, Earthlings, and Forks Over Knives all in one day. And I was like, well, that's that's it.
Yeah,
So
and the
yeah.
raw food too. I mean, when I try to tell people, I like to give non-scientific explanations, like just real easy to understand. I say, look, if you want to know why we exited the festivals we were doing, it's because the food was delicious, okay? It really was. And it really, truly resembled the animal product dishes that people were eating. But the problem is, the more closely you resemble those animal product dishes, the worse it is for your health. That's what I've seen anyway. I mean, I'm sure there's some exceptions to that, but not many.
Yeah, exactly. I know it's interesting how ultra processed everything can get, even when the desire is to do something better for the health, for the planet, for the animals. Like the intention is there, but it goes because we're trying to get the rest of the people off the animal products, but at the same time, we need healthy people to support the animals and each other. So it's kind of going backwards at the same time. But that's why I love that the health optimization cruise has raw options, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so seriously amazing. I can't wait.
And it can be 100% raw. And kind of what sets us apart is kind of like we don't have a buffet. I know people have asked, get a buffet, well, they don't want to do it. We're at a higher end cruise line on their high end ship, and they want to have everything with a white tablecloth, plated, presentation experience. So every box they can check off. So you can do that 100% raw. It's not just options. It's like you don't have to eat a single morsel of cooked food if you don't want to, because you're going to have an option at every step for fully raw, whichever one you want.
That is just mind blowing. Like, I can't even describe how excited I am for this, because not only is it like hardly, I mean, we live in Las Vegas, so there's like literally, we have the highest percentage of fast food restaurants of any city in the US. 68% of the restaurants here are fast food. And all the raw places have closed. One of our favorite vegan places that had raw options closed.
Yeah, I know. We've seen that too. I mean, like, we spent a lot of time in Florida, and one of the groups there in the Orlando area, which has been a big vegan hotspot in general, it was all of 2025. In that 1 year there, about 10 all vegan restaurants closed in that 1 year. I mean, I'm not sure what's going on. I'll kind of give you my hypothesis, since you brought it up. I have a feeling, all right, that, when we got into this 12 years ago, it was just, trying to go vegan, trying to go zero animal products was like a big deal. It was like a massive ask for somebody, right? Most restaurants didn't have any vegan options, but now they do. So I think what the consumer is saying, whether the people realize it or not, and this is my theory, is that if you're going to be a totally vegan or plant-based restaurant, you really have to dial in and explain to me what you're doing. Because if you don't, most restaurants already have vegan options now. We'll just go to these other places. So I think that we're in a transition right now, and we are too as an organization, as I described. We're going from festivals to health optimization events. And I mentioned that we want to eradicate non-communicable disease. So actually, let me comment a little bit on that, because we like to define everything that we do and explain it. So it's very straightforward, because in this evolution, I think you have to be clear as to what you're trying to do, or kind of risk becoming irrelevant over time. And I think that's kind of what happened with a lot of the vegan restaurants. I'm sad to say, because I would rather see them, Right. But at the same time, I feel like if they could present the food that they're serving in a way that makes sense health-wise, and they could make some claims, okay? Because I don't remember any vegan restaurants making any health claims, right? I don't.
Neither do I. Yeah.
And neither do regular restaurants, for that matter. Okay, but I'm saying that maybe this is the next evolution. Okay, now let's go back to non-communicable disease. In my layman's terms, I would say that non-communicable disease is actually a good thing. It's something you can't catch from somebody. It's what most people are sick from. And it's, in my mind, your body's way of communicating to you that you're doing something wrong. Now, the challenge here is to figure out why. And that's a thing that a lot of people in the medical industry still to this day don't ask. They'll learn a treatment procedure, or prescribe a pharmaceutical, something like that, whatever the standard of care is. But usually the question of why isn't insisted upon being answered. And that's kind of where we come in. Now, let me give you a little history. I want to go way back for me, okay? So you understand how I got here, like why I want to do this. And you'll learn that for me, it's not a choice. This kind of behavior, this kind of truth-seeking, I suppose, is mandatory for me, because I'm like the canary in the coal mine. I cannot ignore doing wrong things. So when I said that earlier, that I used to get sick at our events, I'm not kidding you. I had this delicious plant-based food I was eating, but I found if it was high in fat, which almost all of it was, and high in sodium, which almost all of it was, then I would feel the negative effects of that almost immediately. And it's something I cannot ignore, and I've always been like that. Now, let me explain why. When I go back, and I was just talking to my mom about this the other day, she's 80 years old, 80 years young. She's young too. Although she doesn't follow what I'm saying, I still have to explain it to her, because, and everyone's different in the way they react to things. So I got this more from my dad, I believe, not from her. So when I explain to my mom, I'm explaining in a foreign language. Now, when I explain it to someone like my dad, he has been able to understand. He's not alive anymore, but he didn't understand. He didn't make the connection between things that were going wrong with him and this sensitivity. So when I think back, as far as I can think back, I never used to want to eat meat. Never. I didn't know what vegan was. I didn't know what plant-based. All I knew was my parents put this chicken or fish, which actually fish looked a little bit better, I guess, but the beef, red meat, and it was all, I see the blood, the veins, the skin, the hair, the muscle, all that in there, and I'm like, and then I'd see everything else on my plate, which looked fine, and I just didn't want to eat that. But what I realized was, I think I was actually listening to my body, because I'm sure I was negatively reacting. So back in the day, I used to think there was something wrong with me, and everybody else did too. They're like, you're gonna get sick, there's something gonna be wrong with you. But now that I'm 56, I'm like, no, actually the opposite has happened. Everybody else has developed chronic illness, and I've been completely fine. And it's because I was listening to my body. Now here's another way I was listening. Of course, when I was younger, I didn't want to eat meat. So I would stay at the table sometimes for hours. Sometimes, and eventually my parents would just give up, and I'd say, okay, you can go to sleep now, whatever. And well, when I went out to McDonald's, like everybody went to McDonald's in the 70s and 80s, it seemed like, right?
Mm-hmm.
I never got a burger, never got chicken, always got French fries and a milkshake. That's what I always got. And they always ask me, are you sure? You sure you don't want anything else? And I'm like, no, I definitely don't. And, but the thing is, it goes another step, because I used to tell them, don't put any salt on those fries, because I could see them shaking the salt on there. And I always used to tell them that. In addition to that, it wasn't just McDonald's. My grandmother used to make homemade chicken noodle soup. Back when I wasn't vegan, it was a great dish. And she always made 2 pots, one without added salt and one with added salt. And I always chose the one with no added salt.
Yeah.
Always. So I could just, what I'm getting at is I could feel those effects very quickly after eating the food. And I just wanted to minimize those effects by listening to my body. And I think that's the core of what we teach here at our nonprofit is you have to listen to your body. There's always a question of why something's happening if it's non-communicable. And of course, take your doctor's advice, go see your doctor, ideally a doctor that's board certified in lifestyle medicine, because they're probably the only ones that can understand this stuff, right. At least that take your insurance anyway. And, but the habits are what really makes or break your health. And that's what we do on the cruise, our health optimization events. So what we decided is we looked at all the evidence and all the science, all the conclusions as to what, I've done my own investigating. Why does this happen? Why does that happen? It's usually comes down to some basic good habits. So we came up with this right over here, this healthy vegan food, 6 pillars, nutritional standard, combined with the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine, because I talked about that earlier. You want to make sure your doctor is board certified in lifestyle medicine. And with that, and all the number crunching we've done, we asked, well, look, if everybody follows this 12-step program, like AA, right? A 12-step program to get you out of society, out of the ills of society, if possible, that's our goal. Just follow it. If you follow it, would we be able to meet that goal of eradicating non-communicable disease in humans? And the answer that we've seen is yes, minus a couple percentage points, because there's always going to be some outliers in there. Yeah. It can't be perfect, but this is every single non-communicable disease, from heart disease, high blood pressure, most cancers, Alzheimer's, dementia, all these things. But like they say, like with Alzheimer's and dementia, you got to catch it early. You can't wait. You got to act soon. So when your body's trying to communicate, meaning it's throwing this error code, this non-communicable disease, listen and do everything you can to investigate and change those habits. And I know that's the hardest part. That's why we do these events in person, because you got to be able to leave your house and enjoy life without harming yourself. And it is so hard to do that, and impossible, basically, right?
For the most part. I know, it's so crazy how hard it is out there in the world. And that's why it's so amazing that you offer this kind of thing, because like my Nate and I have been wanting to go on a cruise, and we've talked about it for the last couple years, but finding the right one, it's like, what are we going to eat? We're going to have to take our own food and all this kind of stuff, how we do with our traveling. So it's just so amazing. I really want, if you could go through those 6 pillars really quickly for those listening. Yeah.
Perfect. And I want to touch on the cruise too after we do that.
Oh yeah, okay, I've got some questions about the cruise.
All right. So our nutrition standard is, we figured, well, look, if our goal is to eradicate non-communicable disease, and it's at least 50% the food, probably 50 to 80, probably closer to 80% of your health is the food, like the 80-20 principle, if you've ever heard of that. Yep. And I talk about all these concepts in my book too, which is completely free. It's a resource that we have called Live to 150. The idea is that if almost everyone's doing everything wrong, and I know I was taught almost everything wrong growing up, okay? And you're going to live to 75 anyway. What happened if you try to do almost everything right? I think it would be a doubling of your lifespan. It would all be health span. So it starts with the food, because probably almost 80% of the results are going to be you sticking to this. Now, of course, we're not talking about raw foods. We're not talking about whole foods that are lower in fat, because any whole food that's raw, minus, I'd say, well, you got to give a special case for nuts, seeds, avocados, and soy or edamame. The reason why is because they're all very high in percentage of calories from fat. Like an avocado, the Haas avocados everybody likes, 75 to 80% calories from fat. Okay, so you can eat those things, but you have to run the numbers. That's what I just want to say. As long as you're going to eat raw whole foods minus those, you do whatever you want. You don't have to think about it. You're going to optimize your health automatically. Of course, make sure that the food is as organic and chemical free as possible. That's the only caveat you're going to have to be doing if you're going to eat like that. But everybody else wants to eat prepared foods, right? So prepared foods this is where you got to put, some thought into it. So we came up with our nutrition standard based on that. So you probably heard of whole food plant-based. Dr. T. Colin Campbell coined that phrase. As far as I know, there is no universally accepted definition for exactly what that means in regards to prepared foods. And because of that, even though my license plate says WFPB on it to this day, okay, it still says that. Okay, yeah, in Florida, it's a Florida plate. So nobody else in Florida can have that one but me. You know it's me if you see that, if you're driving down the road. But Dr. Campbell's awesome. I've interviewed him a few times, but we realized that when we go to the events that we're having in person, right, with the food, we just have to be so particular. When I say particular, I mean, what I really mean is closely aligned with nature, as closely aligned with nature as you possibly can be. So what does that mean for prepared foods? It's the 6 pillars. So number 1 is 0 animal products, because we're a vegan organization. The protein in animal products causes cancer in humans, according to Dr. T. Colin Campbell. All animal products have no fiber whatsoever, and all of them are a high percentage of calories and fat unless they've been processed, and they're very high calorie density as well. So there's no reason you'd want to eat animal products, right? I mean, I think if you're trying to do the best you can, they have no place. I mean, unless you have no other choice, but we all have choices in 2026. Okay, number 2 is you must have whole plant fiber in your finished prepared food. The reason why is because based on our research, almost nobody gets enough fiber every day. You probably need at least 50 grams of fiber. If you eat any kind of high calorie density foods that have the fiber removed or 0 fiber, you're just not going to be able to eat enough fiber during the day. So everything's got to have fiber. We can make some exceptions for that, but when you come to our event, everything will be like that. Like, we do have juice actually on the cruise, but it's really like a smoothie. It's like it's like the orange juice with all the pulp still in it, right?
Oh, I love it. I love it. I know. I'm so excited.
And they make it all fresh right there too. Of course, they all have all the oranges. They're going to make that juice with all the pulp in it right there. So, all right. So 0 animal products, 0 fiber. So getting no, you must have fiber. I'm talking like a standard American now. Right. Even the plant-based and vegan processed foods, that's the hallmark of those, is that almost all of them have all the fiber removed. All these processed snack foods and everything. It's, but anyway. Okay. The other worst offender that we realized, and I know we're kind of going out on the limb here, I feel like still in 2026, I don't know why, 0 alcohol.
Oh, I know.
Okay, we can't see how anybody could rationalize including alcohol in a health optimizing diet. I mean, you can have an occasional glass of it, but in no way should this be a regular habit. I know others have said differently, but they're ignoring the fact that it's a group 1 carcinogen. And we can't get around that. I don't think there's any dispute in it being a group 1 or class 1 carcinogen, which is the highest level cancer causer. So if we're trying to take the best care of our health, that does not have a place, Exactly. And again, what I'm telling you is what you want to do every day. I'm not saying you can't have a treat meal or a cheat meal every once in a long while, because I think you can, and you're going to anyway, because you live in the real world, and we don't live in a vacuum. We can't be perfect. So what we have here with these 6 pillars, and I've gone through 3 of them, is align yourself with nature so that your body is already so in balance that it can handle a few discrepancies, here and there, but they can only be occasional. It cannot be something that's a habit. Once it's a habit, forget it, All right, so then the other ones you've heard of probably, you heard of no SOS, right? So we clarify what that means. So no added oil. Of course, oil is the most highly processed food there is. If you ask me, 100% calories from fat. It's what gives veganism a bad name, if you ask me, because I don't know of any animal product that is worse than oil. I don't know of any animal product that has 100% calories from fat and zero fiber.
Right.
I mean, if we never used that, I think more people would be plant-based or vegan because of that. However, we need to clarify what that means. The reason why we're not going to do oil is because, and yeah, it's bad to process food, but it also raises that fat level in whatever you put it in. Even if it's a couple drops, man, it's gonna jack that fat level up pretty high. So what we find people do is they don't use oil, but they whip up the nut seeds, avocados, and soy or edamame, and next thing you know, you got just as high as the percentage of calories and fat in that dish as if you put a few drops of oil in it. And we don't want that. So what we want to do is we say 10% calories from fat. So whenever we do an event like on the cruise, I tell the chefs, believe me, I am on them because no chef is trained in this way, right? All the chefs, they're in the same business. The business is you come back and you enjoy this food no matter what. So they're going to make the high fat, high sodium foods. That's what they're going to do. So I have to keep telling them, run the numbers. If you can have a little tofu, you can have a little avocado, but just a little, and you have to run the numbers. And so when they have those, they do it, and it's a continual challenge for us in our events, but it's absolutely worth it. So 10% means that you got to run the numbers, and whatever the total calories, whatever the percentage of that is from fat cannot exceed 10%. And each gram of fat is 9 calories per gram. So you have to just run the numbers. And we actually believe that you could probably be okay with 15% from what we've seen. But the reality is, if you don't do 10%, there's no room for a cheat meal. And then you're way over it again. And we want to keep in that balance point of health where your body's not complaining. Like my body complains. Like the minute I sway or stray, it's like, it's complaining at me. Okay, so that's one of them. That's oil. How about the sugar and the salt? Well, for the sugar part, we say you can sweeten things, but we try to follow what T. Colin Campbell Center for Nutrition Studies says. And what he says is, I know it changes over time, but what we see right now is whole fruit or dates is all good. You can blend those up. You can use tree syrups and you can use molasses, but nothing else.
You are everything you're saying is legit straight on like everything that we practice. So it's like, it's amazing because it's so aligned. And anyone watching, you got to come to the cruise.
But
okay, keep going. Keep going.
Okay, and then the last one is salt. No added sodium. Because, we want all the flavor. Of course, we want all the taste. We just don't want that sodium. And let me just tell you, I had a little bit this weekend. I'm feeling it. I told my wife, Denise, I was like, remember this, because I know she's not as sensitive as me. She wouldn't notice it for 10 years later. Something went wrong. I'm like 10 minutes. My lips are starting to dry out. I feel this oozing in my mouth of all this extra sodium because it's all a balance right now. You may say, well, that's a little strict there, but if you think it's strict, you forget that all plants have sodium. All plants have fiber, all plants have protein, all plants have water, unless you cook it out of them. And so that's the thing. You're already getting your sodium. The only caveat, the only exception that we're going to make for sodium is if you're somebody that sweats a lot every day. Because if you do, it's a balance. Your body, when it sweats sodium out. So that means you can take some more in. But, you got to be like a daily runner, someone that has a sauna and you're in there for like an hour a day. If you're not doing that, nobody that I know is, most everybody doesn't want to move or sweat ever. Even when you go to the gym, maybe 10 minutes or something, but even that's not really enough, I don't think, to put any added sodium in your diet, but talk to your doctor. So anyway, when you add all those 6 pillars up, you get to that balance point of health, hopefully, and then an eradication of any form of non-communicable disease and that's what your body wants. And it's just a return to nature. That's all it is. And if you want my short answer too on how, like, why I have to specify no salt, why I have to specify no alcohol, this is what I think. And I talk about this in the book in one of the chapters. I think that as humans evolved, back in the day, we didn't have reliable refrigeration or freezers or transportation. So if you were going to produce some food and have it make it through the winter when things were a lot less certain back then, well, how are you going to preserve it? Probably the only way is by turning your drinks to alcohol and adding salt to your food. Otherwise it would spoil. You had no other way to do anything. So I think that we were all in survival mode as a species, and we've developed this craving, through generations of people barely making it through the winter. And we just don't have to do that anymore. We just need to outthink that. It is a primal urge that we have ingrained in our ancestry, but it's something you can outthink. And that's kind of how I look at it, because I'm not going to out anything else. I'm just going to have to outthink it and realize I don't need to do that anymore. Like, we have freezers, refrigerators. I got trucks constantly showing up to my grocery store, bringing in new food every week. And I do also believe that the shorter the shelf life, the longer your life. That's a whole other thing.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So that also goes into like why we don't want to have to use salt added or alcohol if we can avoid it, because all that does is extend shelf life.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, yeah, this is so amazing. Seriously. Talk a little bit more about your Live to 50. So everyone watching, if you want, you can get his, it's really cool because it's like, I saw 152 videos. It's like a V book instead of an e-book. It's at live to150.org. The links will all be in the description box below for everything. So you guys check it out, but talk a little bit about your Live to 50 series.
Live to 150. Okay. Yeah, I put that together over a course of a year in 2022 and 2023. So and really all I wanted to do, like I said, I try to explain things in layman's or laywoman's terms, where you don't really have to have in-depth knowledge to understand why you would want to do a thing a certain way. And in my case, I don't need the knowledge because my body is so quick to react, like I said. So the Live to 150 book is 150 chapters, and then 2 of them, I believe, are introductory chapters where I just kind of introduce the book. But then each chapter is it's a habit or set of habits or a concept about health span and longevity. Because that's all this really is adjusting your habits. And I think that, like when I was raised, it was the 70s and 80s. Nobody really talked about this stuff so much that I can remember. And, I don't even know what veganism was in the 70s and 80s. I'm sure some people knew, but there was no internet. So there wasn't really any way for me to find out unless I went to the library and researched it. And I don't know, it never even came up. So the idea is that you just want to adjust your habits so that you put your body into balance. Life is all about balance. And I also believe that life always wants to continue. And the reason why I know that is because of the expression of non-communicable disease. If your body or life didn't want to continue, it wouldn't care how you treated it.
True. Yeah.
It wouldn't care. But in every human that I've ever met, different levels of sensitivity there, that there's going to be a response. It's going to be negative to anything you're doing wrong. So each chapter is a different principle, talks about what people do that's wrong, what people should do that's right. And you may already be doing a lot of the right things, but not all of them, that's for sure, because there are so many different things. Let's talk about the cruise. The cruise, it's not just a cruise. I know it was great. You mentioned, I was looking into like a vegan or plant-based cruises, because there's vegan and plant-based cruises, but we're trying to check off every box we can in regards to human health so that we, do not intentionally harm anyone at all, period. That's our goal. As long as you don't harm anybody, and I think that's a Hippocratic oath too, right? Do no harm. As long as you don't, the body repairs itself. The body will heal itself. For instance, what if you have a broken arm? You might need to get set, but who does the healing?
The
Your
body.
body,
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, there's nothing else anybody can do. The body will repair itself, but you have to give it the right conditions. So, from what we understand about, let's say, indoor air quality,
Hmm.
I need to address that because I know about indoor air quality. That's also part of health, even though it's not talked about in our food part, but it would be applicable in the lifestyle medicine principles. And indoor air quality is a big thing on a ship, on a boat that's in the water all the time, because you're at 100% humidity basically the entire life of that ship. And what
Hmm.
happens there? Of course, there's mold growth. That's the problem with indoor
Hmm.
air quality for most people. There are some that are incredibly sensitive to that. So we want to provide the best indoor air quality possible. So that means the newest ship with the best, most high-tech indoor HVAC components that are hopefully also clean, because that's a
Hmm.
whole other category. Most people don't even maintain their HVAC systems correctly, and they can become incredibly efficient mold breeding grounds, and mold just it proliferates the mold throughout your entire living space because it's usually got a fan and it's blowing it everywhere. It's bad news. So anyway, it can be bad, and a lot of times it usually is, but we're just trying to eliminate that. Our ship that we're on now, it will be a year and 2 months old when you get onto it, Lissa.
Yep.
And it was 2 months old when we got on it. And
Wow.
remember, we're going to our fourth year. We're already on our second ship,
Wow.
because I would prefer that we do not get a ship older than 2 years. I
Hmm.
would prefer, because it's on the water all the time, high humidity environments, lots of use. You could run into, I know that Celebrity, the cruise line we work with, does an amazing job, but you can run into maintenance issues if they're just not maintaining the HVAC equipment. That's under load all the time.
Hmm.
Even humans, even if there was no humidity, just so you know, I worked in the past with schools, and even in a
Hmm.
school with low humidity outdoors, when you get 1,000 students breathing out humidity all into indoor space, it creates uh, over 60% relative humidity. Anytime you're over 60% relative humidity, if you're not controlling that with the right equipment, you're going to be breeding mold again. So
Hmm.
not to scare anybody, I'm just telling you, we thought about all this. That's why we have a brand new ship. I mean, and I won't just say new, I'm saying less than 2 years since it
Hmm.
was built.
Yeah.
you know?
It's
So
it's all in the details, right?
yes, because just even if we got everything else right, if
Hmm.
you're in an environment that has poor indoor air quality,
Hmm.
you're going to get sick probably, and we don't want that.
Hmm.
So, okay, so that's it. That's one thing. Another part of it is the warmth and the sunshine in the middle
Wow.
of winter, because we're in the coldest week of the year, the third week of January. And I think, vitamin D,
Hmm.
which is ideally from the sun, it brings you into balance. A lack of vitamin D is kind of the root cause of so many things. I
Hmm.
mean, I'm indoors now. You're indoors. Hopefully you go out. I'm going to go out today. My wife and I always walk outdoors unless it's raining. We're out there for a couple of hours every day. But that is so necessary, and then just the warmth in general, right? Now, you may wonder why you're so concerned about this, but if you look around at the natural, I'd say like what do you call it? Native species around you, like animals. If you're in a cold area, they usually hibernate or they
Hmm.
go somewhere else.
Yep.
Why do you think that is? I mean, unless you're going to hibernate, it's probably not the best thing for you to remain in a cold area all winter. So come down to our cruise, right? In the third week of January, get the vitamin D, longer days, more intense sunlight too, right? I mean, all of that stuff there's a lot of evidence out there that shows that this is highly beneficial for your health, but also it's a balance. I don't suggest you lay out on the deck 10 hours a day and get sunburned, I mean, because that is going to be the other the other extreme of that, right? We
Yeah.
want to go right into the middle.
Hmm. Oh, yeah, I'm excited. I mean, we live in Vegas, and when you mentioned going outside, before this call, we went on our, hour and a half walk. So that's really great.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, and then we,
Nice.
we have a pool on our roof where we like to go and lay out, just for a little bit, just to get that warmth and coziness. So I was born and raised in Canada, in Edmonton, Alberta. So it was like snowing sometimes 7 months out of the year. Actually, in Canmore, Alberta, just snowed the other day. And, I was just like, oh, and I was living further north than that. It was just, it was really challenging. And I could notice the change in the vitamin D levels that I would get. So being here in Vegas is just like, I'm such a desert lover. I love hiking out in the desert and being in the sun. So it's really, really important. And most people don't. I mean, like you said, we're inside right now. And yeah, it's nice to be indoors, but we need to really focus on being outside more. And the cruise is, yeah, especially in the winter. It gets really windy here in Vegas.
Yeah, and we're in the Caribbean, just to clarify, we're in the Caribbean, so it's warmer and sunnier than anywhere you can get in the continental US.
Wow.
And yeah, that's what we want to see. And also another kind of general concept that goes along with what you just said, and what I was talking about earlier, is just the general idea that you want to show your body that you are alive. Because if you get it into environments that are cold and dark, or you're not moving, or you're feeding yourself just food that hurts it, it kind of is getting the message that you don't really want to be here. And I'd say like the average American, the goal is they don't want to do as much. They don't want to move or go outside. And that's just telling your body that it's sending the wrong message to your body. You're going to get poor results in your health just because of that message, I believe.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely important. So talk a little bit about what are the dates of the cruise? Where are we going? Who's going to be there? Kind of more like little details about that. So if anyone's interested, we've got links in the description box if you want to come and hang out with us, because Nate and I are going to be there. Yeah. So yeah, share a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, our website is healthoptimizationcruise.org. healthoptimizationcruise.org, and on there, when you land on the webpage, there's a little option you can choose about the presenters, and you can learn about everybody that's going to be on there. And I'm going to be one, you're going to be one, Nate's going to be one, Denise is going to be one. We've got several people returning just from last year as presenters, and we're still booking presenters. So I'm giving you the website address just so you know that it's ever changing. We're still so many months away. I mean, right now it's over 90 degrees where I am right now. I mean, by the time January rolls around,
right, totally,
it's not. So, all right, so we're going to have basically the way we try to put this together is it's a whole experience where you don't have to do anything. And now, in terms of the food, I know you're into raw, and we have 100% raw. You also can choose cooked, all right? But it still has to meet our specifications. Although I would say if I had to choose and I want to pick one that's better, it's probably going to be raw. I know, you probably know too, the only thing I ever noticed with someone who eat a lot of raw is it's hard to get enough calories unless you're eating nuts, seeds, and avocados. Right?
Yeah, we need big salads.
Yeah, it's all unlimited too. You can have as many portions delivered to you as you possibly want. It's you never stop. We don't encourage portion control at all, because when you're eating food that is low calorie density, low percentage of calories from fat, no salt added, no sodium added at all, that your body's gonna make you stop, and it's not gonna be detrimental when it does. It's only when you eat food. When you eat things that your body doesn't recognize as food, because so many of the prepared foods, that's basically the idea. The body doesn't recognize it. It's freaking out. And, you're going to express that non-communicable disease. And also, when you eat things that your body doesn't recognize as food, you also bypass those satiety sensors because it never expects it to be that high in fat or that calorie dense. And you don't have to worry about that with us. Actually, we had a custom cake made this past time that was just incredibly decadent. It wasn't raw, so I don't think you could eat it, Lissa, but it met all of our specifications. And right away when it came out, and it took like 4 wait staff to bring it out. It was so big. Wow. This one giant sheet cake. Everyone's like, no. I could see the hands go up, And I was like, don't worry. This is day number 4, We've got it all dialed in. They're preparing the food exactly as we want it. You have nothing to worry about with consuming this cake, but
complete freedom. That's awesome. Yeah. So again, what are the dates, and where's the ship going to go?
Okay, I think I'm going off my mind here. I think it's 17th to the 25th, I believe, third week of January. Every year up till now, we've been out of Fort Lauderdale, but this year they've moved the ship down to Miami. And also, I want to let everybody know how difficult it is to produce this event. I'm not complaining, okay? I'm very thankful, actually, that we can actually do it. We're with this one company, Celebrity, and it's a private event. You have to buy through our travel agent because we're a private event on a ship that's open to the public. And we stay with them because we presented the idea, and we continue to present the idea to other ships, other companies, and nobody wants to do it. To be frank, because they know how difficult this is. When I pull out these nutritional specifications, and then I say, you got to realize this means you're going to have to make all the sauces from scratch, all the condiments from scratch, and so on and so forth. And you know how much work that is, right? I mean, every single meal too, and everything's custom. I'd say that, aside from breakfast, which has some regular repeating courses, it does, okay? It's not as fancy as lunch and dinner, but lunch and dinner are pretty much unique dishes at every course. So they have to, it is so much work, I'm just thankful that they're going to do it for us. So they told us the ship's moving down to Miami, so that's where we're going to be. We leave out of Miami, which is, of course, the warmest part in Florida, pretty much. And then we're going down into the Caribbean, and I think we're on the eastern side of the Caribbean this year. It seems every year it switches. Last year we were western, or this past January, we were western. So we'll be on the eastern side. In terms of the ports, all on the website. But I wanted to let you know that the key things about this event, like what makes it so much different than what else is out there, is, let's say, the vessel, right? Like I told you, it's a very new ship. And not only does that mean the best for your human health, best indoor air quality, but it's the best for the environment too, in every other way, because there's always new things that they require when you build a new anything. Like if you're building a new car, everybody knows that, like if you're buying a gasoline car in 2026, it's way better for the environment than one you bought 20 years ago, because they're just required to do that nowadays. And so that also helps with the ship. Now the food is the number one reason. It's kind of like the 80-20 principle, like we were talking about before. We've got the food dialed in. You're not going to have to worry about it. You get to experience something that the average person thinks doesn't exist. When I say that, I mean something's going to meet our 6-pillar healthy vegan food standard, and it's going to taste amazing. All the flavor is still there. And I know a lot of people cannot understand that. They're like, oh, it's going to be like cardboard. You're not going to put any salt on it. I mean, how am I going to want to eat this? But it's just not the case. And yes, we know it's incredibly difficult. Yes, you cannot go to your average neighborhood restaurant and get meals like this. You just can't. You have to have people that are incredibly open-minded and that are curious in their own profession. These chefs that the team that works with us, we've had the same team going on into year 4 now. And yes, they've had different people underneath them, but the kitchen manager and the head chef, same people I've been working with for going on 4 years now. And they are just so creative. And here's another thing that might get you thinking. Just think about how almost all foods that are out there are pretty much the same. I mean, unfortunately, they do harm human health. They get you to come back to the restaurant or wherever you're going, but they do harm you in some way. So when I give the right people the option to produce food that we're saying is at a whole other level, and it's nothing like they've done before, it's like, hey, I can get out of this rote, process that I've been doing my whole life, and I can try something new. And there are a lot of chefs that are like, nah, I'm kind of near the end of my career. I'm not doing that. And then there's other ones like we've found that are like, yes, that's what you want. We're going to do it. And these people are so into it. I'll tell you, they want to exceed everybody's expectations, both from a hospitality standpoint in general, but also from a food standpoint. And that is regardless of all of the 6-pillar framework that I give them. So like I said, we're just thankful. And that food is there, so you get to experience it. When you leave the ship, you're going to say, wow, okay, we just did that for a week. Why isn't everybody else doing this? Because a lot of our guests have said that. They're like, I got to leave the ship now, and I got to go into a world where, this just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But we're optimists. We think eventually it will. And then, of course, the educational component. You're going to be there. Nate's going to be there. We're going to reinforce the entire framework of everything. And it includes, we haven't even gotten into the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine. That's critical, though. We're going to reinforce it and get you to understand how you can, with most NCDs, prevent, halt, and hopefully reverse if you catch it fast enough. That's the key.
Yeah.
That's a motivator, right? It's like, hey, we don't know when it's too late, so let's do something now if we really care. I mean, when I say really care, I mean, you have to be willing to go against most of society and do what your body wants you to do. And we're going to give you the motivation to do that, hopefully, through knowledge.
Yeah. Oh, what would be like a typical day? Like, wake up, throughout the day on the cruise.
Okay, well, it depends if it's a at-sea day or a port day. Because on most port days, and there's 4 of them, I believe, then we're not really going to have too much of an education component. But we will have typically we'll have, even on the port days, we'll all gather for breakfast. Now, when we gather, we have our own private dining area. This is the only way to do what we're doing. And I tell people when they first show up, I'm like, look, when you walk around the ship, you can go to any restaurant you want. You can go to the buffet 24/7 if that's what you want to do. Problem is, unless you're eating whole fruit out of the buffet, even if that food says vegan or plant-based, that does not meet our 6-pillar nutritional standard. So you're going to be doing yourself a disservice by doing that. And I tell them, I highly encourage, not only because the food is going to be the best quality for your health, but also you get to hang out with people who are like-minded, right? Who are doing this. So we're like in the back of one of the restaurants, so it's quiet. We could talk, get to know each other. So on a port day, you would have breakfast together, and then we usually have some type of physical, activity, stretching, yoga, walking. I know, like, and this is just within our event, because you can always go do other things on the ship together, but we'll have something for you as well before you leave the ship. And if you want to go on an excursion, which you can book at any of the ports, or just walk around outdoors, you can do that. Sometimes we do have it this year. You could come back for lunch in our dining area. You'll get the special food that we have, 6-pillar healthy vegan food, or I highly encourage, if you're not going to come back, to eat only ripe fruit off the ship, because that's the only way I know that you're not going to be kind of going off course,
Yeah, fruit is the ultimate fast food, easy food, right?
As long as it's ripe, too.
That's another one, too.
We can get into that. Yeah. I mean, so port days, that's what it is. And then you come back, we'll have dinner together on a port day. And then, let me tell you, like when I said we're checking off every box, we're doing the best we can, the entertainment that they have. This is a Edge class ship of Celebrity. Celebrity is the high end of Royal Caribbean, and the Edge class is the highest level ship that they have. And we, of course, have the newest Edge class. So we got the best of the best. And that just has, the top talent always seems to follow along that. That's what we've seen anyway as we produce this event. And the nightly entertainment is just unbelievable. I mean, it's so high quality, so enjoyable. I mean, it's unbelievable. I've been on other cruises before, so I know what to compare it to. And that's all I have to say is that, because like you may say, hey, there's another there's another plant-based or vegan cruise. Well, like, not only does the food not meet the 6 pillars, but the entertainment, I'm just telling you, it's amazing.
I'm going to be spoiled rotten, because this will be my first cruise ever.
Yeah, we've had some people like that. And that's what I tell them. I'm like, wow, you got something to look forward to, because I know you're good. I know you're going to enjoy this, And even people who have been on other cruises, usually I'll ask about the ship they were on, who was the company, and I can tell them right away some things that are going to impress them by going to our event. Okay, so that's at the port days. Now, on the at-sea days, those are our educational days. So generally, you have educational options all day long between lunch and dinner with a break. Between breakfast and dinner with a break for lunch. And they can range from some movement or exercise activities, and there are a few of those, more likely it's going to be more of a traditional lecture or group activity, where basically we're just learning about why it is we're doing what we're doing. And the amazing part is, like, every time you listen to a presenter ask questions and then you go eat your next meal, well, all of what they just said is represented in the food that's put right in front of you, and I can't say that about other events. There are other events that are amazing. I've been to them, but the food typically either doesn't match in nutrition standard, or when you arrive to it isn't the taste you expected, or some other combination of things like that, because the food is key. And when you get some delicious multi-course meals with all this variety of different cuisines, and you hear this, it's so much more impactful, I think, positively impactful for realizing that this can be done, because I say that that's the biggest thing is somehow being able to change your habits. Because even though my book is pretty straightforward, not complicated, it's asking a lot. It's asking a lot of people to make a lot of changes. And it's hard when nobody else is doing that And so, you become, it's one of those things, like you become like the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Right. So you have to choose wisely there. But at the same time, a lot of times you're going to have, if you're trying to do the best of your health, let's put it this way. We're in the United States, right? Both you and I. We have one of, I think, the highest per capita health care expenditure, right, in this country, and some of the worst results. It's not like we have the best results. There's very little value in that. So you got to realize right away, most people are going to negatively influence you, not because they want to, just because that's the way the system is set up, and it's reinforcing. If it wasn't reinforcing, they would just walk out of it too, but it's not that easy to do. You have to convince yourself that this is the right thing to do, that it will hopefully work for you, although it's not perfect. There's always exceptions. But then you also have some food that will match up with that, and that's why we do our cruise. We're going to do a safari in Africa also in December 2027. Wow. And then we do clubs. We do potlucks. By the way, when we do potlucks, all the food has to meet our 6-pillar healthy vegan food standard too. And believe it or not, we do restaurant events too. We did one in Florida. Actually, we did 2 of them in Florida this year already at an Indian restaurant. And let me tell you, I love Indian food, okay? But I cannot, almost no restaurants will work with me, period, especially not Indian restaurants. But we find the right people. We did 2 events. Everything met our 6-pillar healthy vegan food. Well, we convinced some people. I mean, because they brought some friends with them that weren't really into this and said, here, try this, And of course, the taste, the flavors just blew them away. And of course, they were satiated and they ate all they wanted, and they didn't feel horrible either at the end, because I usually do. That's my gauge.
You're right, totally.
Like, if I feel horrible, it was too high in fat, too high in sodium, almost guaranteed. So, yeah, I mean, this is what we do. We talk a lot. I mean, there's a lot of people that talk about it. We're actually trying to provide this to somebody, right, out there in general society. And that's one of the things that we say we do in our nonprofit. We're improving society for future generations, because we're trying to be as honest as we can. This is a lot of work, and it's not going to happen in my lifetime. But if we provide a pathway for people to do this, then, they'll all get inspired. They'll tell people if they're happy with it. They'll tell other people. That's the biggest thing we could ask. Just go tell other people about this,
Exactly. That's exactly why we have like YouTube, and you and I and Nate and everyone else. We're trying our best, trying to get these people. Talk really quickly about the 6 pillars of the lifestyle you had mentioned.
Okay, lifestyle medicine. Yes, let me pull that out to make sure I don't skip any. We didn't develop this one. This one is something that's newer. Now, let me explain to you what the general idea of what this is. My explanation is it's a way to bring in a lot of this like alternative kind of stuff that we're talking about, because it doesn't match up with the existing system, which is like a sick care system, right? Because they're not asking why. And it's bringing it together in that existing system in a way that you can find doctors and healthcare people that are actually going to participate with your insurance plan. Because up till now, it's been like you pretty much could not find anybody. And until just the last 5 to 10 years, I'd say. So, okay, so let me go through these. 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine. Number 1 is plant-based nutrition. Now, that's why we came up with the 6 pillars to healthy vegan food, because all they say is plant-based nutrition.
Right.
That could mean a lot of things, right? So we had to clarify what that means. All right, number 2 is physical activity. That's why I was saying no. We walk, we do yoga classes, other stuff. And by the way, I'm standing up. You see, I'm not sitting down. I'm always trying to not sit, but I drive a lot, and I have to sit then. So, physical activity is important. I know you said you and Nate walk every day. Denise and I do. We get at least 10 to 12,000 steps every day.
Yes.
The body's designed to move.
Yeah.
If you don't move your body, kind of like I was saying earlier, your body's going to think you don't want to use it anymore. And if you don't use it for long enough, it's going to start shutting things down. I mean, that's just a natural response, if you think about it. And in a way, I say, like, people, I said recently, the American dream is like to sit in a lazy boy and watch TV all day. I'm like, well, why don't you just build your own coffin and crawl right into it? Because it's kind of like the same idea. You're telling your body you don't want to do anything, and it will probably comply with your requests if you do that. So I'm just saying that as a way to motivate you. I mean, there's a reason why almost everyone has 2 arms and 2 legs, right? I mean, it's not to not move.
Exactly.
All right, now stress management is pillar number 3.
That's a big one.
All right, so I talk about this in my book a lot. Like, life purpose is really a big deal here, because I believe that the stress you need to manage it's that feeling that results when you're doing something you don't want to do. That's the bottom line. If you're doing something you want to do, I don't care how hard of work it is. For instance, I was out there 2 days ago with a pickaxe on a mountaintop where we're growing up some plants in a farm we have, and I was having to knock through solid rock 20 feet long to lay some conduit for our solar system. But I wanted to do that. Okay, that's the difference. If you didn't want to do that, you would be miserable. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Like, it would be like the worst thing. It would be like a punishment, But I feel like, you know what? I didn't get injured. I'm standing up. This is 2 days later. I mean, yeah, I got some general soreness everywhere. All right, but this is what my body's designed to do. I didn't overdo it, and the soreness is okay. I mean, I use my muscles, so.
Yep, the soreness is the indication that you did.
That's right. All right, number 4 of 6 lifestyle medicine pillars is avoidance of risky substances. That's what they say. Ooh. So we singled out alcohol, all right, because I'm like, in no way would I ever consider that a health food, all right? For sure. But there's plenty of other substances too, and that's what lifestyle medicine kind of gets into. It's like you can do that with just about anything. I mean, basically, the reason why you and I are talking so much about all this right now is because the average person, in my opinion, is kind of addicted to the food that we've all been brought up on. So that's a risky substance, if you ask me. You want to avoid that.
Yep. I know it's the easiest, most accessible, most hyper palatable, like convenient food out there, and people are just gravitate towards it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when I ask why, I'm like, well, it's because everyone else does it. If we could just swing that pendulum in the other direction, then everybody else will want to do the good stuff. And I'm an optimist, so I believe that will happen at some point.
I hope so too. Right. I'm with you.
All right, lifestyle medicine pillar number 5 is restorative sleep.
Ooh, yes.
Now that's a repair time, of course. You have to get good sleep every day. And just like all the other facets that we've talked about here today, each person's different. Now, I can tell you, my wife, Denise, she's going to need at least an hour, maybe 2 hours more than me. Consistently every single day. Yeah, I mean, not everybody's the same, but whatever you need, you have to get it. And you have to use whatever technique is possible to make sure that when you do sleep, it's quality sleep. Because, like, for instance, we're talking about fruit, we're talking about raw plants. Now, one thing I don't know if you know about me is my wife and I, We eat 3 to 5 whole ripe pineapples every single morning for breakfast. That's our breakfast. And there's a number of reasons for that, because obviously fruit is good, right? I'd say for the average person, you couldn't eat enough fruit because most people hardly eat any.
Yeah, isn't the 2010 global disease burden study, I can't remember the name of it, but they said one of the top leading causes of disease in general is not eating enough fruit.
That's right.
Which is so simple.
That,
yeah.
Yeah, because fruit is low calorie density, high fiber, right? Tons of nutrition. And of course, this all assumes that you get it ripe, which is a whole other discussion, because there's a reason why the produce section hasn't expanded. I mean, it's not providing the average person with high quality produce.
Yeah.
It looks good, but don't get me wrong. It's kind of like the food we eat. Oh, it tastes amazing. But everything else is bad about it. It's like the produce section. Oh, it looks great, but it doesn't taste that good.
I know. We had some nectarines yesterday that were just pitiful, and we're like, no.
Yeah. So you know what I'm talking about. So, okay. So let me tell you where I was going with this. When we wake up every morning, ideally, I'm dehydrated. And the reason why I want to be dehydrated when I wake up is because I want to kind of be a little bit dehydrated right when I fall asleep, so that I can sleep the whole night through without even having to get up to use the restroom if I could, because that's going to be the highest quality sleep I can get. And then you want to have a noiseless area, totally dark. You want to have a bed that's not going to hurt you in any way. So as long as you check off all those boxes, but the hydrating thing is a big one. I'd say the average person could, this is what Denise and I do. We have the highest water content foods in the morning, continue that through lunch, and then by afternoon, which is usually when we eat a cooked meal, would be at dinner. That's just for us because we do that. We don't always eat cooked food, but regardless, it'll be something that's a lot lower water content, so that we can have higher quality sleep going through the night. And it's kind of a simple concept, but most people don't ever, appreciate that or use it. So I would say you definitely will benefit from that with the sleep. Okay, and then we got one more, and it's why we do what we do. It's social connections.
Yes.
And it is so important. And I will tell you, I'm an introvert. Okay, both my
Me
wife
too.
and I are introverts.
Yep.
But
we're here.
An introvert.
Yeah, but we're here on YouTube. I feel like most people who do like stuff like this, like YouTube and stuff, are more introverted people. Like, we're extroverted on our computer. But I hear you. We're the same.
Yeah. So, and if you don't know, if you're watching, you don't know, introverted, and at least this is my definition. Lisa, you can tell me what you think. But I'd say that an introvert, their energy is drained the more you're actually physically around somebody. And the opposite is true if you're an extrovert. You don't get full energy unless you're surrounded by people in person, interacting with all of them, right?
Yep,
so
I agree.
By the end of the day, I'm just like, whoa, I'm just feeling it. And for me also, I don't know if this is true for extroverts, but it's also why I like places in nature that are extremely quiet, like without human-made sounds, like flying airplanes, loud mufflers, trains, whatever the case may be, just nature sounds. Like, to me, that's therapy. For I don't know if it's just introverts or what, but
no, I hear you totally. Yeah, it's so nice to be with yourself too. But still, like you said, introverts still need that connection as well. Like, we still need the people. It's just in that fine balance.
Yeah, and I think that everyone's purpose is some version of trying to help others.
Yeah.
It's just whatever that version is for you. So if you're going to help somebody, you have to have social connections, right? So yeah, another reason. And I think that all these working together, and then you add that food, the 6 pillars of healthy vegan food, very specific, close to nature. When you combine all this together and you're constantly working all this and realizing that, when I say work, it's not really a job. It's just that you're living in the way nature intended. And when you do, usually you get rewarded for that. And typically, with exceptions, because there are exceptions, typically when you're not doing that, you start to not enjoy life so much anymore.
Right.
That's what I found. I mean, it's taken me a long time to get to this point,
Yeah.
but that's what I found.
Oh, yeah. That's so great. Thanks for sharing all of those with us because that's definitely valuable information. And then I love that the cruise and your events all focus around those 12 with the food and the lifestyle. Is super, super important. A plant-based diet.org. How can somebody help? Because it's a nonprofit. How can they help and what do the donations go to?
All right, well, we're totally self-funded. And when I say that, I mean my wife and I we kind of fund it ourselves. Now,
Hmm.
we bring in money from events. We're 501c3 in the US, so we do accept donations of cash or property, which
Hmm.
we would gladly accept. And even if someone out there is watching and they have some significant resources and they want to designate it for something very specific, let me tell you, I can tell you about things that we're involved in outside of
Hmm.
these activities, because we always could use more help with these events. They're next to impossible to produce. Like, we've already talked about this here.
Yeah.
Almost nobody wants to work with us because we're asking a lot. We really are. So we're just very thankful when somebody is willing to work with us. But outside of that, there's other levels to this.
Mhm.
Like if you take a deep dive into this and you try to get close to nature, you start asking, well, this food that I'm buying in the produce section, or from, where's it coming from?
Mhm.
Who's growing it? How is it being grown? Why can I get it to taste better or be more nutritious? So on and so forth. Can I get it? If I start growing this myself and I move somewhere else, could I enjoy this all year round? There's all these different levels. So we are into the growing projects that we're doing are the next level. Like when I said I was out there with a pickaxe 2 days ago, cutting
Mhm.
through the mountain ridge. We have a farm in western side of Virginia called Mountain Ridge Farm. It's up at 4,000 feet. It's off grid. It's
Mhm.
totally quiet. I mean, it's awesome, and we're growing northern fruits up there. We're growing grapes, sweet cherries, and chestnuts. Which, by the way, is the only nut that gets an exception from us, because you heard me talk before. I said nut seeds, avocados, and soy or tofu or edamame, except for chestnuts. I think technically chestnuts are a fruit,
Mm.
but they are exponentially lower in fat than any other nut. So you
Wow.
can eat that. So that's why we're growing those. And anyway, that's what we're doing up in here. That's where I am right now. I'm in the state of Virginia right now, but usually we're in Florida in the wintertime. We have some projects down there. We hope to start up growing down there. We have a project in North Carolina, which has yet to come off the ground. We just need money. We have property.
Mhm.
We already own all the property. I've been very fortunate to find some very inexpensive properties. It's kind of funny because I bought them so long ago when they were basically worthless. But now, let's say, if you want to stay connected like we are here, if you choose to do so, you just put up a Starlink and you got internet no matter where you are, and a solar panel, and it's
Mhm.
amazing what you can do from anywhere on the earth now. And it's only
Mhm.
been the last few years that's even been possible.
Yeah.
So you just have to learn how to do what you can do. You can live out in nature, you can grow. Now, let's say we take it to the next level, because we keep thinking about all this. We're always trying to do the best that we can, like we talked about with the Health Optimization Cruise event. So what would be the best you could do to grow food? I think that you want to be right as close to the equator as possible. You
Mhm.
want to be at the right elevation so you're not going to be the victim of a tsunami or flooding, or it's not going to be too hot or too cold.
Mhm.
So ideally a place where you don't need climate control for your house, because
Mhm.
I know Florida is kind of like the best place in the continental US to grow, but you have to have air conditioning,
Yeah.
and even sometimes you have to have heat in the winter. This past winter it got
Mhm.
so cold,
Right.
but if you're right on the equator at the right elevation, that's not a problem. So we
Mhm.
have projects right now in Ecuador. We already own the land here too. We could use some funds to help us move along, but we own land in some communities there right near the equator in the Amazon rainforest, where this is already happening. You can grow
Mhm.
all year round. It is a totally different setup than we're used to in the United States, because the United States doesn't have any place like this.
Mhm.
Our newest project, because Ecuador we've been involved with for about 5 years now. Uh, Uganda is our newest project. We just got that started this year. We just acquired land. We have it. And the fun thing about this one is, and everything's fun, by the way. That's our secret mission, by the way, is to have fun. Okay,
Have fun.
If you're chronically ill, your life is not as fun as it could be.
True
so we
that.
want it to be as fun as possible. Okay, so we've gone over to Africa twice already. I mentioned we have a health optimization safari. It's coming up not this December, but next December. Denise and I have gone twice. We've partnered with and are on the board of directors of a fully Ugandan nonprofit called Love for All Uganda. We operate a 100% tuition-free vegan primary school in Uganda.
Wow.
The great thing about Uganda is they're right on the equator. They're at the right elevation. Both these places are like 2,000 to 3,000 feet above sea level when I say the right elevation. That way you can grow all the tropical stuff all year round. And it never gets cold. You never have to, because I'm telling you, Florida, oh my gosh, so many people got wiped out this winter. It just takes one cold morning for a couple of hours and your stuff is gone.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why I'm saying this is next level, a place that you don't have to worry about that, and also a place that's really inexpensive. So anybody can afford to go there. Okay, so we've been to the school. I've seen the school. It's amazing. I don't know of any vegan school like it that's tuition free. And Uganda, the great thing about Uganda is English is a native language, or the official language, because it was a former English colony. So it is, everybody understands you when you talk anyway. And we also acquired through our own nonprofit. We have two nonprofits here, a secondary one that we got approved to operate in Uganda. We acquired land, and we're hopefully going to have a food forest there. That's the goal. That's going to serve the school and the community around the school. Wow. And of course, educate everyone as to why this is the right way to go. And the cool thing about Uganda is they're not under the influence of American culture. You know, like American culture doesn't really exist there. And like we've gone to their vegan festivals, which twice already, we've given talks. And I said, look, don't be like Americans, because yeah, it may look kind of glamorous and everybody has stuff and money, but we don't have your climate. You know, we can't even grow our plants outdoors all year round if we tried, you know, unless you got some high-tech greenhouse or something. I'm just talking about super low-tech, super inexpensive, you know, anybody can do it. They can all do it like that over there. They just have to get some support, you know. So that's kind of what we're working on anyway. So these are just ideas as the things we're working on. We welcome other ideas that people have, but the basic concept here is just to create different systems in different places where doing the right thing is automatic, and hopefully not harming yourself is going to become the default.
Yeah. Well, this is amazing. Seriously, all the things that you're doing are incredible. And like I said, if anyone wants to help, you can donate or come on the cruise.
Yeah. Or just check the website out. Plantbaseddiet.org has all this stuff and more on there. And just spread the good news. I mean, there's a lot of people out there. I don't know if you've heard, for instance, that you know, there's so much more upside, because like Dr. Dean Ornish released a study, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now. I don't know if you heard about it. It showed how you could prevent, halt, and likely reverse early stage Alzheimer's and dementia.
That's amazing.
It's a legit study. It's just that most people have never heard of it.
Right.
But of course, and then you may say, well, what's the secret thing that they figured out? And it's actually, there's no secret thing. It's very similar to our 12-step program. He's into lifestyle medicine, and his food is also very specific, kind of like ours, close to nature. And when you do that, you know, if you haven't waited too long, and I don't claim to know when that is. That's why I'm saying it. If you're watching this now, don't wait any longer. Just know that if you have an NCD, there's probably something you can do about it. I don't know what, but it could be as big as reverse the whole thing, you know. And as far as I know, we only have one life that we're guaranteed. So I would, you know, if you like being here, I like being here. Let's you know, do the best that we can. That's what we want to do.
Yeah, let's do the best we can. I love it. Well, thank you, Mike, for sharing. And as mentioned, all the links to all the stuff, Mike's live-to150.org. We've got the health cruise. We've got, if you want to go on the safari, or if you just want to check out the website and all the things that are going on right now, check out everything is in the description box below. So head on down there. And again, thank you again, Mike, for sharing. It's been a really great conversation.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. And I also want to mention one last item that
Yeah.
if you're watching this soon, because I know you're going to release this tomorrow,
Yes.
there is an opportunity for $200 off per person with our early bird discount and your code. You have a special code that's going to get you another $50 off. If you use it, Melissa, and I guess you're going to put that down below, your code, right?
Yes,
In there?
I will
Okay.
put my
All right,
code. Yeah.
perfect.
So if anybody wants to join the cruise and hang out with us and eat some raw food, oh my gosh, it's
Yeah.
going to be amazing. It's in January 2027, and we would love
Yes.
to meet you on the cruise too. So